Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, welcome, dear devotees, for our morning Srimad Bhagavatam reading session. We are at Canto 1, chapter number 6. The title of the chapter is Conversation between Narad Muni and Vyasdev. We have discussed up to verse number 29. Today we are going to start from text 30. Let's do a quick couple of minutes recap. What's happening? What are the learning points? What is the storyline? And then we will begin. Who would like to say?
Prabhuji, to increase our hankerings, Krishnaji gives us darshan.
Yes, very good. So we discussed how Krishna appeared. Narad Muni had the darshan of the Lord for a short time, and then he disappeared. And the reason mentioned is to increase his hankering. So, in our life also, we may experience the taste of bhakti. We may feel very good associating with devotees, reading scriptures, chanting. Sometimes, for a moment of time, we feel very blissful. And this is Krishna's mercy on us to increase our hankering, desire. So, thank you so much, Puja Mataji. Anyone else?
Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Narad Muni got darshan because he was fully satisfied, humble, non-envious. He was free from the material taints and he had no attachments. So, of course, it's very difficult to have these qualities, but we should try to strive for them. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes, Narad Muni achieved because of these qualities, and what you mentioned is right. It is very difficult. But everything is difficult. Material life is also difficult, isn't it? Who says that it's so blissful material life? That is also a struggle. If we have to face difficulty, why not face difficulty for spiritual path? There is a struggle everywhere. Materially struggle is there, spiritually struggle is there. But material struggle, the defeat is guaranteed. Spiritual struggle, we are going to win the battle. That is guaranteed by the mercy of Krishna. And that is the theme of today's discussion, that how Lord protect his devotee and the success is guaranteed. Material struggle, the difficulties, failure is guaranteed. We'll see that. All right, one last point, and then we'll begin.
Prabhuji, whenever and wherever possible, we must engage in the service of Sri Krishna, and that devotional service never goes to waste or it's destroyed. It's done for the Lord, and it's quite eternal itself.
Yes, devotional service adds it up to our eternal bank balance, spiritual, permanent bank balance. It keeps on increasing, it never goes down. Bimal Prabhu unmuted 2 times but couldn't speak, so I will give you a chance before I continue.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Aligning what we do, our thinking, our willing, our working, and I'm sorry I forgot the fourth one, but aligning all of those things in the service of Krishna towards Krishna consciousness is what takes us forward in our path to attaining that closeness with Krishna. So aligning
Amazing.
our desires to the desires of Krishna and his devotees.
Yeah, perfect. Thinking, feeling, willing, and working. Our thoughts, thinking, our feelings, our willing, our desires, and our work. Thinking, feeling, willing, and working. So we have to align that to Krishna, and that way we can reach to Krishna. Thank you so much. All right, let's start from text number 30. Ishita Mataji, you want to start today? Text 30.
Hare Krishna. After 4,300 solar years, when Brahma...
4.3, I think it is 4.3 million.
Yeah. After 4.3 million solar years, when Brahma awoke to create again by the will of the Lord, all the rishis like Maharishi Angira, Atri, and so on were created from the transcendental body of the Lord, and I also appeared along with them.
Mhm.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Ishita. So, what happened? Narad Muni was describing. Vyasdev asked, "What did you do after the sages left?" Narad Muni is describing his story. He traveled around, then he was meditating. One day, when he was tired, sitting under the banyan tree, very thirsty, hungry, then he drank the water from the lake and he was meditating. He had the darshan of the Lord. Then, Lord disappeared. Then, he was talking to the Lord, and then Lord spoke. His grief of why Lord disappeared was gone. He was very happy, satisfied. He was chanting all around. And then what happened? That is mentioned. So he met death. In previous verse, we saw that his material body gone and the body turned into a spiritual transcendental body. So what happens here? It is mentioned end of the day of Brahma. So we saw before as well that how we are into Kali Yuga, which is 432,000 years. We are into Kali Yuga. Double than that is Treta Yuga, 864,000 years. Double than that is Dwapar Yuga, and double than that is Satya Yuga. So there is a cycle: Satya Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Kali Yuga. So that cycle is going on. So like that one, the four Yuga cycle, like that times 1,000, that is one day of Brahma, which is 4.32 million years. That is one day of Brahma. And the same 1,000 Yuga cycles is one night of Brahma. So when one day of Brahma, which is 1,000 Yuga cycles, Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga, when one day of Brahma finishes, that time partial annihilation happens. We might have heard the word pralaya. Partial annihilation happens, not complete. Bigger annihilation happens when at the end of Brahma's life. We are talking only one day. Brahma lives for 100 years like that. Multiply by 365, that is 1 year. Multiply by 100, that is full life of Brahma. Very big calculation. At that time, bigger pralaya happens. But this is mentioned here is end of one day of Brahma. What happens? Remember, we saw that how Brahma comes from the Garbhodakshai ocean, from the navel in the lotus flower. So when one day finishes, Brahma enters back into the Garbhodakshai Vishnu. He goes back, and then night he sleeps for 1,000 yuga cycles, and then again morning happens, and then creation starts again. So when Brahma enters all the planetary systems, there are seven upper planetary system above the earth. There are seven lower planetary systems below the earth. We might have heard Swarga, which is above the earth. We might have heard Narka or hellish planets, which is below the earthly planet. So the higher planets, the seven, Satyaloka, Tapoloka, Janoloka, Maharloka, Swargaloka, Bhuvarloka, and then the Bhuloka. So there are the seven. And the bottom seven, Atala, Vitala, Satala, Talatal, Mahatal, Rasatal, and Patal. You might have heard the Patal. So they are the lower. So when Brahma's day finishes, all these planets, all these seven planetary systems above and below, everything enters into Vishnu's body. Brahma also enters into Vishnu's body. All the living entities, whatever state they are in, whatever consciousness, they all enters. And then at the next morning of Brahma, when the creation happens, all the planetary systems comes again, the living entities comes again, and whatever state they are in, they start life again. So here in this verse, it is mentioned that at the end, after 4.3 billion or million, whatever it is, the number of years, when Brahma's next day started, the creation started, how Narad Muni achieved the transcendental body before we saw. So Narad Muni appears again in this transcendental body, which is free from all these three modes, which is completely transcendental, and he travels around. So he's this. Actually, we see here that we have discussed the three different births of Narad Muni. The first pastime when we discussed was Narad Muni as, who remembers?
Gandharva.
Or with-
Gandharva.
Yes, Gandharva name Upabarhana. Yes. So and then he was a celestial singer. He laughed or he smiled and looked at some apsaras, and then the sages cursed him to become a son of a maid servant. So that was his first. We saw how Gandharva. Then second,
Maid servant.
son of a maid servant. Then he meditated, he served the sages, and then his material body finished, and he got a transcendental body. And now the third birth, which is mentioned here, which is eternal now, which is completely transcendental from Brahma's. Is it Brahma's? Brahma's son. That's why Narad Muni is called Brahma's son. He's a Manas Putra. Other so many sages also came. Marichi, Atri Muni, Angira Muni, Pulatsya Muni, Vasishtha Muni, Daksha Muni, Bhrigu Muni, and Narad Muni. They were all sons of Brahma. So that's how Narad Muni appeared. Okay. Yes, Aruna Mataji, you raised hand.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji, I'm just wondering one thing.
Mhm.
If Narad Muni had transcendental body, so does
Mhm.
Brahma has transcendental body? Or, how can somebody appear in the material world with the transcendental body? So kind of, bit confusing question. So what I'm
Mhm.
basically asking is, how can a material being appear as a
Mhm.
transcendental body from a material person if Brahma is also a material person? Am I making sense, Prabhu?
Yes, yes, you're making sense. How can spiritual energy come from material energy, basically? So, first of all, the first half of your question, Brahma has material body. We have to understand Brahma is also a position, just like Indra is also a position, and there could be different Brahmas. So, depending on which jiva takes up that position, they are called Brahma. So it's like a prime minister, it's a position. So which person takes? Sometimes Vishnu himself, Lord Krishna himself takes that position because there is no one capable enough. Okay, so that is the one point. So Brahma is a position, different personalities can take up that position. Now, spiritual energy can definitely come from material energy. There is no doubt about it. Here, Narad Muni appears in a transcendental body because he before the creation, the previous creation, he has achieved that. Even in uh, uh, Dhruv Maharaj pastime, if you read Dhruv Maharaj pastime, he achieved the spiritual body and he is going in the flight. Arjuna, or there are many instances in Srimad Bhagavatam where it's mentioned the devotees uh, in this world completely transforms their material body into spiritual body, and then they go to the spiritual world. Very simple for our own understanding is the example of deities in the temple. Material form transfers into spiritual form. Pran Pratishtha Mahotsav, deity welcoming Mahotsav. They do that. So when the marble, which is just a rock carved for the Lord, but when they do the welcoming ceremony, the Pran Pratishtha ceremony, what happens? Material energy transfers into spiritual body. What happens in our everyday life? We offer Bhoga to Krishna, which is fruits, veggies, whatever it is, material. But when we offer to Krishna, it becomes transcendental, it becomes spiritual. That's why it's called spiritually sanctified food. This is spiritual, prasadam. It is transcendental. So we do that every day. Isn't it, Aruna Mataji? Make sense?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yes. When you cook, boga, offer to Krishna, make nice prasadam, invite me for lassi. Okay? All right,
Sure, Prabhu.
let's move on. Mataji, sorry, devotees, if I miss out someone on reading, I have no personal liking or anything. Whoever comes on my screen, sometimes people think Prabhuji loves these people more and never ask me for reading. So if you want to read, please raise hand. But whoever comes on my screen, I do. All right, Haruna Mataji, number 31.
Hare Krishna, everyone. And number 31. Since then, by the grace of the Almighty Vishnu, I travel everywhere. without restriction, both in the transcendental world and in the three divisions of the material world. This is because I am fixed in unbroken devotional service of the Lord. Thank you, Prabhuji.
So here again, if you see in the translation, it was mentioned three divisions of the material world. We discussed Bhuloka, above planetary systems, and lower planetary systems. So Narad Muni travels all around the three planetary systems without restriction. Why he is able to travel all around? Because he is fixed in unbroken devotional service. It is mentioned in unbroken. Our devotional service should be unbroken, constant. Prabhupada writes here in the purport that devotees never fall down because they are always connected to Krishna right from the beginning. See, there are difference between different spiritual paths. Jnani, the Jnana Yoga people, Dhyan Yoga, those who meditate, Dhyan is Ashtanga Yoga people who are Ashtanga yogis. There are different paths. But in all other paths, the realization of God comes later. With the yoga process, yam, niyam, asana, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi, at the last stage when someone is practicing these 8 limbs of yoga, which is starting with breathing techniques, do's and don'ts, yama and niyama, pranayama, pratyahara, exercises, we see the yogic postures. When someone is following that, the God realization comes at the later stage. But in a devotee's life, right from the beginning, right from the first step, the devotees are connected with Krishna by chanting, by devotional service. They are connected with the Lord. So there is a big difference between all other yogic processes where the Lord comes, the realization, the reciprocation, the relationship with the Lord comes at the later stage. While in the life of a devotees, bhakti yogis, the connection with Krishna establishes straight, right from the beginning. And that's why it is mentioned here that Narad Muni says, I was always fixed in unbroken devotional service of the Lord. And Prabhupada writes that devotee's service is it's unbroken. A devotee may have temporary fall down for a short time, but he's not lost. Whatever devotional service, it's there, and he's still connected. Temporary by some material desire, he may fluctuate, but it's guaranteed he will come back because the bank balance is not lost. The devotional seva, the credit, is permanent. So Krishna is with us since the beginning with the devotees and is always helping us in the devotional service. We have to have the faith. We have to understand Krishna is with us. Krishna is helping us. Krishna is supporting. Krishna is noticing our bhakti. He's a person. He understands what we are doing. He notices and he reciprocates. You have to understand this. From this verse number 31, we see that how Narad Muni could do unbroken devotional service by the mercy of the Lord. He was connected. And that is the biggest benefit we, all the devotees, have in the path of Bhakti Yoga, that we are connected with Krishna. All right, let's move to verse number 32. Krishna Prabhu. Krishna Prabhu.
Hare
Unmute.
Krishna. Sorry, I was trying to unmute here.
Yeah.
And
What does Narad Muni is doing? He's mentioning what does he do? He's traveling around. Let's see what continues. Yes, Prabhu.
and thus I travel, constantly singing the transcendental message of the glories of the Lord, vibrating the instrument called a veena, which is charged with transcendental sound, and which was given to me by Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Yes. So in the previous verse, it was mentioned Narad Muni travels all the three planetary systems. So here it's continues. What does he do? He's not traveling to do the sightseeing or doing the tourist, looking at all the different creation. But he travels. It is mentioned here. He travels constantly, singing the transcendental message of the glories of the Lord. If you connect, why Narad Muni is mentioning this? He is singing the glories of the Lord because he is answering to Vyasdev's dissatisfaction because the glorification of the Lord was not mentioned. So now Narad Muni is saying this. I also travel and glorification of the Lord happens and I feel satisfied. I'm completely transcendental. I have achieved perfection. So Vyasdev, you also glorify the Lord. You also will achieve spiritual perfection. And you write that Srimad Bhagavatam, which is glories of the Lord, and by doing that, by following that instructions in Srimad Bhagavatam, people of the whole world will achieve satisfaction and happiness. Why? Because one day Narad Muni wrote one Veda divided into four Veda, looking at people's dissatisfaction, the lack of goodness of quality. So you see this connection. How Vyasdev was wanted to help people of Kali Yuga. That's why he divided four Vedas. But then Narad Muni is mentioning here that I have achieved perfection by glory. I do that personally, myself. You also do, and everyone will do. So if you connect it back to the storyline, this verse very, very nicely Narad Muni is instructing with his own practical example as well. Srila Prabhupada writes here in the purport gives us a very clear instruction learning point that just like Narad Muni is always singing the glories of Krishna, we should always chant, we should always spread the glories of Krishna, we should be preaching the message of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, we should always do Krishna Katha, we should be engaged constantly, unbroken. If we do that, then we are safe, then we are safe in the hands of Krishna. In Ramayana, there was one Lakshman Rekha. Lakshman told Sita that don't cross this unless and until you are in this Lakshman Rekha, you are safe. Some people say it's a straight line or it's a circle, Lakshman draw, and then you said don't step out. In our life also, dear devotees, in our life, that Lakshman Rekha, that boundary is three: association of devotees, reading scriptures, devotional service. That is our boundary. If we are staying in this boundary of devotees, devotional service, and the Shastras, we are also safe. And that way we are constantly engaged in chanting glories of Krishna. This is what Prabhupada explains in the purport of verse number 32. Very practical application, learning point for us. How Narad Muni travels, we all around singing glories, we should be also always engaged in the service. All right, let's move to verse number 33. We are there. Pankaj Prabhu, number 33.
Hare Krishna. The Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, whose glories and activities are pleasing to hear, at once appears on the seat of my heart, as if called for, as soon as I begin to chant his holy activities.
So Narad Muni is glorifying Krishna all around, traveling. And when he does that, what happens? It is very pleasing to hear, and Krishna appears in the heart. Why? Because Lord is pleased when His glories, when He is glorified. Prabhupada writes here in the purport that a person can experience the Lord. Just like Narad Muni is experiencing Lord in the heart, a person can experience Lord in the heart when he is engaged in devotional service and when he is spreading the glories of the Lord. When someone is engaged in devotional service and engaged in glorifying the Lord, a person can also experience, just like how Narad Muni is experiencing Lord in the heart. We can have the personal experience of the Lord. Second learning point, which Prabhupada mentions in the purport here, is when devotees glorifies Lord, Lord is pleased. Krishna loves that when devotees are glorifying the Lord. Even in our material world, we see if someone glorifies us, कोई अपने बारे में अच्छा बोलता है, ये बहुत अच्छा भक्त है, इसने इतना अच्छा क्लास दिया, इतने इतना अच्छा कीर्तन किया, प्रसाद आपने माता जी कितना अच्छा गुलाब जामुन बनाया आपने. If someone says that, we feel happy because they are glorifying us. Sometimes, even if we know it's 100% wrong glorification. For example, if someone asks me, Prabhu, very nice kirtan. I know I am not good in singing. And I know it may be 100% false glorification, but still it feels good. Even though it's wrong, still it feels good. And we see that in our schools, the teacher, how they always encourage kids. Starting from preppies and grade ones, they always encourage. Very nice. They give certificates. Always glorification, everyone loves. Why? Because Krishna loves glorification. We are part and parcel of Krishna. We are part and parcel, amsha of Krishna. So we also like all the living entities. They love glorification. In the same way, Lord also loves when devotees glorify Him. And that's why it is mentioned here that Narad Muni was constantly glorifying Krishna, and the Lord, he was experiencing the Lord in the heart. That is what we understand in verse number 33. Let's move on to verse number 34. Bimal, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. It is personally experienced by me that those who are always full of cares and anxieties due to desiring contact of the senses with their objects can cross the ocean of nascence on a most suitable boat, the constant chanting of the transcendental activities of the personality of Godhead. Jai Shri Krishna.
Thank you so much. So here it is said, a person, how Narad Muni is experiencing Krishna in the heart. Narad Muni is saying here that those who are full of anxieties because of contact with the senses and the sense objects in this material world, with the senses and the sense objects, and those who are in anxieties, they can also experience the Lord. You know how? Because when they are chanting the glories of the Lord, they are sitting on the boat. The analogy is given here that this whole material world is like an ocean of faults, ocean of struggles, ocean of miseries, problems, this whole a big ocean. And a person is stuck into that ocean. But when a person chants, glorifies the Lord, engages in devotional service, he is, what is it? He's situated on that boat, just like in the ocean. Someone is in the boat, very safe, not drowning in the ocean. In the same way, a person, when engaged in the glorification of the Lord, in the devotional service of the Lord, a person is situated in the boat many times. And then with the boat, it crosses that material ocean. Boat mein baith ke, like a cruise ship. Boat mein sits on the boat and crosses that ocean. Many times in the scriptures, different analogies are given for our understanding. Even in the morning, we hear the prayers, Mangla Aarti. Samsara dava nalali dhaloka tranaya karunya ghana ghanatvam praptasya kalyana guna navasya vande guru shri charanarvindam. Samsara dava nalali dhaloka. Davanal. This material world is like a forest fire, wild forest, bushfire. This samsara is davanal. It's like a forest. Samsara davanal loka. This one, this world, this material world. Tranaya karunya ghana ghanatvam. Ghana ghanatvam means karunya. But the guru enters in the life of a devotee with the dark, dense cloud, ghana ghanatvam, with the falling of rain. When there is a forest fire, no fire trucks, no fire extinguisher can work in this situation. Only a heavy rain can work. So in the same way, the analogies are given for our understanding that this material world is like a forest fire. But when a guru enters in the life, it's like a rain, with heavy rain, and all the miseries will be gone in the life. So we have to understand that here Narad Muni is always glorifying and he is happy. He says that's the boat. That is the only way to come out of the anxieties and dissatisfaction. So if one wants to be happy, one must talk about Krishna. We have, everyone keeps on talking. You go everywhere, so much speaking, so much talking, so much lecturing, so much people just chit chat, talk, lecture everywhere. Prabhupada writes in the purport, one only needs to change the topic. Instead of talking about politics, cinemas, movies, everything, one need to change the topic and talk about Krishna. And that's the way only people can achieve happiness in this world. This is an ocean of nations. There is an ocean of this material world of faults and anxieties. If one wants to sit in the boat, the only thing needs to be changed is just changing the topic and talking about Krishna. And that's why this Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam is eternal. We see, even though this message was spoken thousands of years back, still in today's life it is discussed and it is practically applied. Newspaper being printed, if you go to the shop and the shopkeeper says this is yesterday's newspaper, no one will buy. What about today? In 24 hours, all this printing and reporters and running around, they do so much of typing, editing, printing. Everything is gone waste in 24 hours. No one even wants to read yesterday's newspaper in 24 hours. But topics of Krishna is eternal. Topics of Krishna, 5,000 years back, Bhagavad Gita message, Srimad Bhagavatam, all these millions of years, we are saying the life of Brahma, everything is still equally applicable, which gives which is pleasing to the heart, which gives pleasure to the heart. That is the way shown in this verse, how to become happy. Let's move verse number 35. Shiva Prabhu, if you can read for me.
It is true that by practicing restraint of the senses by the yoga system, one can get relief from the disturbances of desire and lust. But it is not sufficient to give satisfaction to the soul, for this satisfaction is derived from devotional service to the personality of Godhead.
So Narad Muni is instructing to Vyasadeva again, because he has written 4 Vedas and about other yoga systems. Narad Muni writes that yes, by other yoga system one can control the senses, one can control the mind, the desire of lust, everything can be controlled. Which by following yama, niyama, asana, do's and don'ts, yogic postures, one can control the mind, the desire, the lust and everything. But it's not enough to give satisfaction to the heart. The satisfaction to the heart, a soul can only achieve by devotional service. So again and again, Narad Muni is telling to Vyasadeva about importance of the glories of Krishna and importance of devotional service in different ways, by comparing with his own life, by comparing with different yogic processes, and how one can have satisfaction in the heart. This is because the soul is part and parcel of Krishna. So the part and parcel, just like a hand is part and parcel of the body, the hand can't say that I will work independently. I don't want to be attached to the body. I will be independent. There is no use of the hand if it's independent. The use of hand, the perfection of the hand when he is assisting the body in eating, doing work, itching or whatever it is, that is the perfection. In the same way, we are part and parcel of Krishna, and our perfection is to assist Krishna, is to be engaged in the devotional service of Krishna. All right, let's move to verse number 36. Actually, we can do 36 and 37 together. Shatish Prabhu, if you can read 36, 37 together.
Sure. Hare Krishna, everyone. Verse 36. O Vyasadeva, you are freed from all sins. Thus I have explained my birth and activities for self-realization, as you asked. All this will be conducive for your personal satisfaction also. Verse 37. Sutta Goswami said, thus addressing Vyasadeva, Srila Narada Muni took leave of him, and vibrating on his Veena instrument, he left to wander at his free will. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So verse number 36. Narad Muni is saying to Vyasadeva that you are free from all sins, and I have explained you my birth and activities. So Narad Muni mentioned everything to his birth and activities for self-realization. And Narad Muni says, if you follow all this, it will give you also personal satisfaction. And verse number 37. So here, verse number 36, the conversation is happening between Narad Muni and Vyasadeva. And verse number 37, we step back. The one who was describing this conversation, which was Sutta Goswami and the sages or the Shanaka Rishi. So that's why the verse number 37 goes back. Sutta Goswami is saying, thus, addressing to Vyasadeva, talking like this, discussions with Vyasadeva, Narad Muni took leave vibrating in his veena, and then he just wandering in his free will. Srila Prabhupada writes many, many times, even in this verse also, that one has to take the shelter of a guru. At least in this chapter, Prabhupada writes maybe 50 times or 100 times that how one should start devotional service with the guidance of a guru and obey the instructions. Serve Guru, not like a tick box. Joining a gym membership will not help us reduce the weight. We have to do the workout to reduce the weight. Just by joining, getting a gym membership will not do, it's not enough. In the same way, just by taking a shelter of the Guru is not enough. We need to follow the instruction, we need to serve, and we need to get the guidance. And following that guidance, that is called the perfection. And here Prabhupada mentions in this verse that how Narad Muni was freely wandering around everywhere. We also have to use our free will for Krishna. We are free. Devotional service is free. Chanting is free. We can, it is in our hand. We can do the choice whether we want to use it or not in the service of Krishna. So Prabhupada says we have to use our free will for the service of Krishna. We have to chant, we have to do devotional service. We have to use our free will, and that will satisfy the Lord. When our free will is used, Krishna becomes happy. Oh, look, this guy, he could have watched movie, but no, he is chanting. So that pleases the Lord. The last one, number 38, Rohit Prabhu, quickly, and then we'll complete the chapter.
Sure, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. All glory and success to Srila Narada Muni because he glorifies the activities of the personality of Godhead, and so doing, he himself takes pleasure and also enlivens all the distressed souls of the universe.
Yes, thank you. So Sudha Goswami mentioned all glories to Narad Muni because Narad Muni takes pleasure in glorifying the Lord, and this is the real happiness is in devotional service and glorification of the Lord. Other than that, no happiness. People think they are happy, people think they are enjoying, but that is not real happiness. Even a pig lying in the filthy place with the she pig and eating the stool, the pig might think, oh, I'm enjoying my life, but actually in reality it's dirty life, it's abominable life. In the same way, people in this material world, they might be thinking